There is a brown plastic bottle sitting on the second shelf of my bathroom cabinet right now. It cost $1.19 at the grocery store. It has a plain white cap, no fancy label, and for most of my life I thought it was only good for fizzing on a scraped knee. This morning, that same bottle saved a tomato plant on my balcony that was about 2 days from dying. Last month, it woke up a packet of pepper seeds that had been sulking in a seed tray on my windowsill for 2 weeks. And every few days it keeps the water in my green onion glasses as clear as the day I poured it. 1 bottle, 10 different jobs in a small container garden, pennies per use. But the part that surprised me most came later. What makes that bottle work is one tiny detail hiding right in its name, and almost nobody who uses it can tell you what it actually does down in the soil. Stay with me all the way to number 10, because that is where I explain it, along with why the fizz matters, and the one strength mistake that can turn this little helper into a plant killer. I'm Jake, though most folks around here know me as Backyard Buddy. 3 years ago, I was the guy who killed houseplants, and then a bunch of green onion ends I tossed at the trash can missed, landed in a glass of water on the counter, and sprouted. Since then, I have regrown hundreds of plants from kitchen scraps on my windowsills and balcony. My grocery bill has dropped by nearly 1/3, and my neighbor Gloria upstairs, who taught me half of what I know, has been growing on her balcony for 20 years. Now, before we start counting, let me tell you what this bottle replaced for me. A little bottle of seed starting treatment runs about $8 at the garden center. Fungus gnat products, another 10 or 12. A jug of sanitizer for pots and trays, 6 more. That is better than $25 sitting on a shelf, and this one brown bottle from the first aid aisle quietly does all of those jobs in my apartment. Gloria is the one who put me onto it. She has kept a bottle of it next to her watering can for 20 years, right between her coffee cans full of herbs. So today, I am walking you through 10 things it does for a small garden, counting up from 1 to 10. Pour yourself a coffee, because a couple of these will save you real money this month. Number 1, waking up stubborn seeds. Every seed comes wrapped in a hard little coat, and some coats are stubborn. Pepper seeds are famous for it. Mine sat in a seed tray on the windowsill for 2 weeks, doing absolutely nothing, and old plant killer Jake assumed he had struck again. Gloria told me to try the bottle. Pour a little 3% hydrogen peroxide into a small cup. Drop your seeds in. Let them soak for 30 minutes. That is 30 minutes, not overnight, and the time matters. Then, rinse them well under plain water. Plant them the same day. The soak softens that hard seed coat so water can get in, and it cleans off any funk riding on the seed surface. My next batch of pepper seeds came up in 5 days. 5 days, after 2 weeks of nothing. And tuck this away, because the reason that soak works is the exact thing I'm saving for number 10. It is the same reason nearly everything on this list works, and once you hear it, you will never look at that bottle the same way. Now, every trick in today's video exists to protect the same little garden I grow from kitchen scraps, and that whole system lives in a book I put together called The 30-Day Kitchen Scrap Garden Protocol. 0 waste, 0 experience, free food. It is 172 pages written for absolute beginners, folks with 0 experience, 0 yard, and close to 0 budget, in the same friendly walk-you-through-it style you get here. Inside are 31 regrowable crops, each with its own plain instructions for regrowing from scraps. There is the $10 starter kit, gathered mostly from things you already own. There is a 30-day, day-by-day plan that takes you from your first glass of water to your first harvests. And there is full troubleshooting support for when a scrap decides to sulk. It costs $17, marked down from $47 one time, against a grocery bill that drops every single week after. If I can do this, I promise you can. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, bottle back in hand, because number 2 is the one I use more than any other. Number 2, keeping your regrowing water fresh. If you have ever stood green onion ends or a celery butt in a glass of water, you know what happens around day 4. The water goes cloudy, then it goes slimy. Then it smells like something crawled into the glass and gave up. That cloudiness is bacteria having a party, and it will rot your roots before they ever get going. So here's my routine. Change the water every 3 days. Every 3 days, fresh water. And each time you refill, add about half a teaspoon of 3% hydrogen peroxide to a regular drinking glass. Half a teaspoon, that is all. The water in my mason jars stays clear, the roots stay bright white instead of turning brown, and the whole windowsill smells like nothing at all, which is exactly what you want. That $1.99 bunch of green onions that started this whole channel has never had it so good. 1 glass of water on a windowsill. That's the whole starting line. Number 3, ending fungus gnats for good. If you grow anything indoors, you have met them. Those tiny black flies that drift up out of the soil every time you water hover around your face and land in your coffee. The flies are annoying, but the real damage is happening underneath, where their larvae are down in the soil chewing on your plant's roots. Sprays from the store run $10 or $12 and mostly knock down the adults. The bottle goes after the nursery. First, let the top of your soil dry out. The larvae need moisture, so dry soil already puts them on their heels. Then, mix 1 part 3% hydrogen peroxide with 4 parts plain water. That is 1 part peroxide, 4 parts water. Pour it slowly over the soil like a normal watering, so it soaks through the top 2 inches, because the top 2 inches is where the larvae live. You will hear a soft fizzing down in the pot. Do not panic, that fizz is a good sign, and I will explain exactly what it is at number 10. Repeat the drench once a week for 3 weeks to catch the eggs that hatch later. 3 weeks, and the coffee hovering ends. Number 4, sanitizing pots, jars, and tools without bleach. Reused containers are the thriftiest thing in the world, and I reuse everything: yogurt cups, coffee cans, last season's terracotta pots. But a used pot can carry disease from whatever lived in it before, and a dirty pair of scissors can spread rot from one plant to the next like a handshake. Bleach works, but bleach means fumes in a small kitchen, careful rinsing, and worrying about what is left behind. The bottle is gentler on you and just as tough on the germs. Pour straight 3% hydrogen peroxide on a cloth and wipe down your pots and trays, or pour a little into a jar and swirl it around. Let everything sit wet for about 10 minutes. 10 minutes, then you are done. No rinsing needed. And the reason you do not need to rinse is not magic, it is number 10 again. So keep holding that thought. I do my scissors this way before every single trim, and I have not passed a rot from one jar to another since I started. Number 5, the root rot rescue. This is the one from this morning, and honestly, it is the reason I made this video. We had a solid week of rain here. My balcony tomato was sitting in a pot that would not dry out, and by Monday it looked awful. Leaves drooping at noon, soil smelling sour, almost like a swamp. When I slid the plant out of the pot, half the roots were brown and mushy instead of white and firm. Brown and mushy roots mean rot, and rot is what actually kills most overwatered plants. Here is the rescue, one step at a time. Slide the plant gently out of its pot. Rinse the old soil off the roots with lukewarm water. Take clean scissors and snip off every root that is brown and soft, only the brown ones. Repot the plant in fresh, dry potting mix. Then water it once with that same mix from the gnat trick, 1 part 3% peroxide to 4 parts water. 1 part to 4 parts. You will hear that little fizz around the roots, and this time the fizz is doing 2 jobs at once, which again is a number 10 story. Then leave the plant alone and let the pot dry before you water again. 10 days after I did this last summer to a rosemary, I had nearly drowned. It pushed out new white roots, and never looked back. This morning's tomato is already standing up straighter. 3 years ago, I would have thrown that plant away. That's not garbage, that's groceries. Number 6, clearing mold off the soil surface. Sometimes you look at a seed tray or a container and there is a white fuzzy layer creeping across the top of the soil, like the soil grew a little beard. That fuzz shows up when soil stays damp and the air is not moving, which describes basically every windowsill in February. It usually will not kill a grown plant, but it is a warning sign, and around baby seedlings it is trouble. Here's the fix. Mix 1 tablespoon of 3% hydrogen peroxide into 1 cup of water in a spray bottle. 1 tablespoon, 1 cup. Mist the moldy surface until it is damp. Scrape off the worst of the fuzz with an old spoon. Then, fix the cause, water a little less, and crack a window or run a small fan for airflow. The spray knocks the mold back, and the airflow keeps it from moving back in. Number 7. Protecting brand new seedlings. There is a heartbreaker in gardening called damping off. Your seedlings come up perfect, and then one morning they are flopped over at the soil line like tiny felled trees, pinched thin right at the base. It is caused by fungus living in damp soil. It moves fast, and there is no saving a seedling once it flops. So we play defense instead. When your seedlings first come up, water them 1 time with that same gentle mix. 1 tablespoon of 3% peroxide in 1 cup of water. Just once, and gently. After that, water your trays from the bottom by setting them in a shallow dish of water so the surface stays drier. Give them air movement and do not crowd them. Since Gloria taught me the one-time watering, I have not lost a single tray to damping off, and I used to lose one every spring. Number 8, the potato and ginger dip. This one is for my scrap regrowers, and it saves a harvest before it even starts. When you plant potatoes, you cut a sprouting potato into chunks, each with an eye or 2, and every one of those cut faces is an open door for rot once it goes into damp soil in a 5-gallon bucket. Same story for a piece of ginger going into a wide container. So before planting, do this. Cut your pieces and let them sit out to dry for a day so the cut faces skin over. Then wipe or dip each cut face in 3% hydrogen peroxide. Let them air dry for a few hours more. Then plant. That little dip cleans the doorway before you send the scrap out into the soil. Last spring, every single chunk I treated came up, a full bucket of potato plants on an apartment balcony, grown from 1 sprouting potato that most kitchens would have tossed. We are 2 away from the big one now. Remember, everything you have watched this bottle do, the seed soak, the fizzing gnat drench, the no-rinse cleanup, all of it comes down to one small fact about what is inside. And we are almost there. Number 9, slowing down powdery mildew. If you grow squash, cucumbers, or even mint on a balcony, late summer usually brings a white, dusty film across the leaves, like someone shook flour over your plants. That is powdery mildew, and left alone it spreads leaf to leaf until the plant gives up. Caught early, the spray bottle earns its keep one more time. Use the same mix, 1 tablespoon of 3% peroxide in 1 cup of water. Before you treat the whole plant, spray 1 leaf and wait a day to make sure that plant tolerates it. Then spray the affected leaves, tops, and bottoms in the evening. Evening matters, because spraying in hot midday sun can scorch a wet leaf. Repeat every few days while you see the film. Now, honest expectations, because I do not overpromise. This works best when you catch mildew early. A plant that is already white from top to bottom is usually past saving. But caught in the first week, I have kept balcony mint clear through September. And now, number 10, the one I have been holding all video. What is actually in that brown bottle, and why does it fizz? Here it is, plain as I can make it. Hydrogen peroxide is water carrying 1 extra oxygen atom. That is the whole story hiding in the name. Water plus 1 extra passenger, and that passenger is barely hanging on. The moment the liquid touches living gunk, fungus, bacteria, gnat larvae, rotting root tissue, that extra oxygen lets go, hard, right at the point of contact. That violent little release is what tears up the mold and the rot. And the fizz you hear in the pot? That is the sound of it happening. Bubbles mean the oxygen is being released, which means it found something to work on. When the fizzing stops, the job is done, and what is left behind is plain water and plain oxygen. Nothing else. That is why you never had to rinse those pots at number 4. That is why the drench at number 5 does double duty, because drowned roots are gasping for oxygen, and this delivers some straight to them while it cleans up the rot. It also explains the brown bottle itself, because light breaks that fragile extra atom loose too. So the bottle is dark to protect it, and you should store it somewhere dark and cool. Quick freshness test: pour a splash onto a little soil, and if there is no fizz at all, your bottle has already turned into plain water, so spend another $1.19. And here's the warning I promised. This all only holds for the 3% kind from the first aid aisle. The strong stuff sold for other purposes, 10% and up, releases that oxygen so aggressively it burns roots, leaves, and your own hands. The same atom that scrubs a fungus will scrub a root cell if it is too strong. Stronger is not kinder. 3% diluted the way we covered, that is the sweet spot, and now you know exactly why. And that is really the whole spirit of this channel. One cheap, ordinary thing, understood properly, doing the work of a shelf full of products. The book works the same way. The 30-day kitchen scrap garden protocol walks you through 31 scraps, day by day, starting with stuff that is sitting in your kitchen tonight, with a $10 starter kit and troubleshooting for every sulking scrap along the way. $17, down from $47 one time, and your grocery bill starts paying you back the first month. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So that is 10 jobs from one brown $1.19 bottle. And now you know the extra oxygen atom doing all the work. If you start a glass of water tonight, come back in 3 days and tell me what you see. I read every single one. Next time, I am going to show you the vegetable scrap that regrows a whole new head of food in about 10 days flat on nothing but a saucer of water. And it is probably sitting in your crisper drawer right now. Don't throw it away, grow it. I'll see you next time, buddy.